what I have been learning in regards to loving others, whether broken ones or the ones that seem to have it all together, is that I need to first see and grab hold of the fact that this Father loves me fully and has promised to take care of me. As I recognized His compassion for me, I became changed and became compassionate myself. We love because He first loved us. Understanding that has helped me tremendously to take my eyes off of myself and my needs and turn them towards the needs of others. I think this is a great example of what maturity provokes. As we get this affection from Father, then we don't have to orbit around ourselves. We can actually have enough capacity to look around and say, well, what do some other folks need? How can I help somebody else today? He says, I'm far from perfect with this. Sometimes it just seems like a nice theory when my own needs appear to be so great at the time. And we all know that. We're all in process here. The other thing I've been learning is that when you let go of people and let go of my expectations of them and those of myself, we're just called to love them, serve them, and not control the outcome.
Well, that's huge.
Isn't it?
That's huge. Right there. Because I think so oftentimes what messes things up or makes for the weird religiousness in meetings is you have someone with a need and then everyone thinks that it's their job to fix them, assuming as if we could.
Absolutely.
When the reality is the best thing we can do is be like the stretcher bearers and carry them to the presence of Jesus.
I think I noticed in my own past, when you're caught up in religion, what you call love is really used as a weapon. If you do what I want, I'll treat you well. If you don't do what I want, I'll make life miserable for you so that you will do what I want, which is a lot of how we get hurt and treat people rudely and distantly, because it's all about, I love you enough to make you what I think you should be, which isn't love at all. That's just manipulation. And when you really learn what Dave's talking about, loved enough by Father not to have to protect myself, then my love for you is just that. It's to love you, take an interest in you, be part of whatever God's doing in you. I found myself saying to a group of people this weekend, if the only reason I'm trying to love my neighbor is because Christ told me I should, or I'll feel guilty if I don't, then ultimately my attempts to love my neighbor are really loving me. It's me. I'm trying to look better or not feel guilty, so I'm doing something for them. Well, they know I'm just a tool to my own affections and to my own kingdom I'm trying to build. And I really do think until we get the first relationship right, which is how Father loves us, until we get that right, we don't even have the capacity to love each other because we're so much of our agenda gets in there.
So much of Christianity and Christians' church, they talk about unconditional love. And it's a great term, it's a great idea, but frankly, it's nothing of what I've experienced in, your average church gathering. It's what we get from Father. I think what is so neat about what Dave is talking about is, as opposed to looking to get what he needed from other people, he was finding it provided for him from the Father. And when he got that from the source, that opened his heart and gave him resources and capacities and changed him in ways that he knew he was different and thus had a capacity to reflect that. And I think that's one of the biggest keys. And if we're talking about, how do you cultivate fellowship, it's like so oftentimes what goes wrong is we're trying to get from people what ultimately I can only find and get satisfied from God Himself.
And our conversation in Koinonia, I think, would point that out.
Yeah.
It would say, aren't we looking for something else here? Instead of let's look to God, this growing dependency. And I think Dave nails it. One of the big pieces of that is when I have a vested interest in the outcome of something. Mm-hmm. He goes on to say, so far as loving those that are hard to love, I need to take the matter to the Lord and ask Him what I am to do, then let go and allow Him to do it. There is such freedom in that, in letting go, trusting Him for the outcome, even though we may not see it. We may not even see it in our lifetime. To love people without an agenda, I think that gets closest to love.
Oh, yeah.
And he really gets to the crux of it here. And if we're meeting together because we're trying to build something, so I need you to be committed, so this looks good for that thing. And again, we're all wrapped up in what I need from you and what I hope the outcome is, rather than we're just people who are responsible to be responsive to God. We're not people who are supposed to fix everything, and not one certainly responsible for the outcome, only responsible for our response.